All right, so today we're going to talk about the North Carolina Constitution, and this is going to be a quick video. Um, the North Carolina Constitution, of course, is based in North Carolina, but however, it is very similar to other states' constitutions. Now, in this photo, we have got the North Carolina flag, and something that's always interesting to students is that we've got two dates on the North Carolina flag. The first date is a date that North Carolinians claimed that they declared independence from the king. They said that they did it first with the Halifax Resolves in Halifax County. But you know, us being the amazing North Carolinians that we are, the second date, April 12th, 1776, if you see it, it says May 20th. April 12th, 1776 is the date that we actually declared independence. And so here is the first constitution that we have for North Carolina. Now, we have changed it, we have amended it several times, and in fact, we've come up with a new draft, and the newest draft was ratified by the state of North Carolina in 1971. So it's fairly recent. With the North Carolina Constitution, it says in the U.S. Constitution that every state must have a republic, and because it says that, that means that we have to have representatives and in a way to allow the citizens of North Carolina to have a voice. So you should have a copy of this in front of you. Now, this right here, the very first thing, is the North Carolina Preamble. If you notice how many sentences there are, there's one. This is one sentence. Now, they have 5 goals in the North Carolina Preamble. And of these 5 goals, in this one sentence, they mention God several times. That we are grateful to God, who is the sovereign ruler of our nations. That we acknowledge our independence upon Him. He's going to give us blessings for us and our children. And we're going to establish, and we want our religious liberties. We do ordain and establish this Constitution. And this link right here will take you to the official North Carolina Constitution. Let me scratch that. This link actually takes you to an abbreviated form that we've made a lot easier for you to be able to acknowledge. So the questions that you need to answer are things that you absolutely have to know. If you notice that when you're reading this, at the very first article of the North Carolina Constitution, it does not talk about the legislative branch like the U.S. Constitution does. The North Carolina Constitution first has a Declaration of Rights, and that in itself is significant, just like right here where they acknowledge God several times. The fact that the very first article in the North Carolina Constitution says the people's rights, says how important rights are to North Carolinians. And then Articles 2, 3, and 4 then describe the North Carolina, the legislative, executive, and judicial. So when we're looking at, there are 14 articles, but you're going to need to double check that. It's been a while since I looked at it. Out of these articles, how many branches on there? The answer to that one is that there are 3 branches. We have a legislative called the General Assembly. We have an executive, that's our governor and our lieutenant governor. And then we have a judicial, and those are called courts. You do need to look over the North Carolina Declaration of Rights and be able to describe some of the rights that we have. I also want you to write down 5 surprising things that you learned about North Carolina's Constitution. And that could be anything, as long as you have definitely read it. That can include anything from what it says about education, hint, hint, to what it says about women and having the right to own property. Now, whenever we're comparing and contrasting the U.S. government or the U.S. Constitution, the North Carolina Constitution, that is going to be something that one of them goes way more in depth than the other one. And it's important to acknowledge that and to understand that the reason why it's going in more depth is because well, the North Carolina Constitution is supposed to be closer to us, so where it's going to make a bigger impact. All right, so that's the end of this video.